62B District Court is now in session with the Honorable Amanda Sterkenburg presiding.
Good afternoon, everyone.
How you doing, Amanda?
All right, I think we'll handle Mr. Bruno first. The court is calling the case of the State of Michigan versus Edward Eustace Bruno, case number 21-30178 SM. Are you Edward Bruno?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm Judge Sterkenburg. You're here for arraignment. Arraignment is your opportunity to hear the charges being brought against you and your rights as they relate to the charge. The state of Michigan alleges that on or around May 11th of this year in the city of Kentwood, County of Kent, you committed the offense of aggravated assault. That is a misdemeanor. It is punishable by up to 1 year in jail, a fine of $1,000 plus court cost and collateral consequences. I'm sorry, sir?
Against who?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said.
Who was it against? You said an assault against who?
Oh, against who? Well, the affidavit of probable cause indicates the alleged victim is one Ignacio Cabrera Tapia.
Who the fuck is that?
Sir, I don't know who that is.
Me either.
Did you discuss your rights, including your right to a trial, with Mr. Howard?
Yeah.
All right, I do have a signed advice of rights form here. One of your rights is the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney and the court determines that you might be sentenced to jail, I can appoint an attorney to represent you. Are you asking the court to appoint an attorney to represent you?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be the person with whom you would want to discuss who this alleged victim is.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Before I can appoint an attorney, I have to ask you a couple of questions. So I will start with, do you currently receive any government assistance, such as food stamps, Medicaid, or Section 8?
No, ma'am, not at all. Just a hardworking man.
Well, are you currently employed, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Quality decision.
What's your hourly wage? What's your hourly wage?
$17.50.
You work full time?
Oh yeah. After Africa fired me at $16.50, I forgot. But Amanda gave me a second job. She gave me a second chance at life.
Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt, but after my discussions with Mr. Bruno, I think it would be in the court's best interest to appoint an attorney to represent him, regardless of his economic status.
All right, Mr. Howard. Well, I was getting into the determination of indigency. He indicates that he's working. Do you have minor children, sir?
Can you repeat that?
Do you have minor children that you support?
Oh, I want to have children one day. I think I found me a baby mama, but I don't know. But hey, I don't have any children. No, 0 kids, no child support. I just got a family that I want to just do everything for one day.
All right, sir, upon Mr. Howard's counsel, he is here as a limited scope representative from the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission. I will appoint an attorney to represent you. We'll appoint the Kent County Office of the Defender. We'll send them some information about you. We'll send you some information on how to contact them. Is a good mailing address for you 6086 Woodfield Drive, Southeast, number 7?
That's not my address. I don't live there anymore.
Where do you live?
I live at 3814 Flamingo Drive.
3814.
Flamingo Ave, whatever, Southwest, in Wyoming. I don't live in 6086 Woodfield Drive. I moved out of there. I live at Flamingo. I live with Dave, my baby Lincoln. I've been living with them for over 3 months.
All right, what's your phone number?
616-706-8383.
You'll have to say that one more time, more slowly for me.
616-706-8383.
83
616-706-8383. Write it down.
8383. Okay. All right, sir, as to the offense of aggravated assault, how do you plead?
Not guilty. Who the fuck is that?
I will enter a not guilty plea. At this time, we'll set you up with a pretrial conference. You and your attorney will come back and meet with the state prosecutor on June 1st at 1:30 in the afternoon. The last thing the court must address is the matter of bail. Bail is set based on a number of different factors, including risk of flight, risk to public safety, your prior criminal record, if any, including failures to appear. Mr. Howard, I'd be pleased to hear your comments as they relate to bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. We had a kind of a limited discussion with Mr. Bruno. He was kind of excited and agitated when I spoke to him. Seemed like a nice enough fellow, but he was in an excited state. So I didn't get a lot of information from Mr. Bruno as it might relate to his bond, Your Honor. So I'm going to defer to the court. Thank you.
Mr. Bruno, are you already out on bond from 63rd District Court? I didn't hear you if you said something. My records indicate you're out on a $5,000 personal recognizance bond from the 63rd District Court for domestic violence.
Oh, so somebody bonded me up? I didn't even get a phone call.
All right, sir, based on that
Damn,
information,
somebody loves me. Damn.
I'm not able to consider a personal recognizance bond based on the fact that this is alleged to have happened while you were out on bond. You are working, but I do have concerns about public safety, and given your current demeanor, your willingness or ability to appear in the future. I'm gonna take a moment.
I did get can I say one thing now? Yeah? I'm sorry. I don't work like that much. I'm sorry. Can I say something or not?
Yes, you may. I'll hear your comments.
Okay, well, I do have a crotch rocket, a 1300 crotch rocket at MPH Auto. That property, whatever they're talking about, my Mazda 6, my black legendary Mazda 6 is over there. It's a legendary car. That car is legendary.
That sounds fantastic.
It's
I'm going to set your
bulletproof.
bond at $10,000, 10%.
I think I can afford that.
Well, if you do, and you are released from the Kent County Jail, you must show up on time for all court appointments. You may not commit any crimes while out on bond. You might not leave the state of Michigan without the court's permission. You have to keep us notified of your address.
3814 Flamingo Drive. That's where I stay at. That's my family.
Except through an attorney, you are to have no contact with Ignacio Cabrera Tapia.
Who the fuck is that?
What is at 4860 South Division? Is that MPH Auto?
Hell yeah, I got a car that's over there that's been sitting out there for months.
Well, I'm not going to allow you
And then my bike has been sitting over there. I've been getting robbed. DH Gate, Jay, what the fuck?
All right, I'm not going to allow you onto the premises of MPH Auto until this is resolved. You are not to possess or purchase any firearms or ammunition or dangerous weapons. You are not to consume
Oh, that's
or
fine.
possess any
That's
alcohol
fine.
or marijuana or
fine.
drugs unless prescribed by a physician. I'm glad it's fine with you.
Oh, so I can't defend myself? It's cool. I got
am
these.
not-
I don't need guns.
All right, sir.
I got bigger guns.
Deputy, we're finished here. Thank you.
I think the gentleman needs a psychiatric exam, Your Honor. That's why I requested a court-appointed attorney.
Well, it was interesting. In this file, there is a court services report which indicates a felony was considered.
I don't know any of the facts behind the case, but when I met with him, he I couldn't get a word in edgewise, as the court kind of discovered. That was his general attitude, or maybe amped up a little bit even further. So I think the gentleman could probably use a forensic exam, which is why I suggested that he have a court-appointed attorney who could meet with him and perhaps see what his mental state is.
Well, I'm sure that it was good advice, Mr. Howard. I did appoint the Kent County Office of the Defender to represent him.
And I appreciate that, Your Honor.
Mhm.
If we had had a breakout before we started, I would have given you a heads up on Mr. Bruno's issues.
You know, that's not something that we've ever done in terms of video arraignments.
Well, you know, in juvenile court, usually before the court starts or opens the session, the judges will oftentimes speak to the lawyer just to say, are there any issues or anything that I should be concerned about? I think that might be something the court might want to consider. It would just take 2 minutes, but at least that I could give you some appreciation of what was coming up.
Well, I tell you what, you're here often enough providing this service. If it is something that you would like to do, you can send a message to the court using the chat feature and just request that in advance, and we can set that up.
Yeah, either that, or maybe what I'll do is when I send you your, when I send the advice of rights forms, I could also send a, couple of statements that this individual has these issues or what have you.
Mr. Howard, those don't often get to me in advance of arraignment.
Oh, don't they? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, then
Sometimes, but not always.
how would I communicate with you? Maybe before we get started, if I could ask for a breakout moment.
I think that's fine. If it's appropriate, if you need to, then the court's happy to oblige.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right, out at the jail, what is your name, sir?
He's muted.
Yep, we'll wait for the jail to unmute him.
Sorry, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is Mr. Semmerly. He has to be in 61st District Court in a few minutes. I wonder if we could go with him first.
Sure, Mr. Semmerly, I'm Judge Sterkenburg. You're here for arraignment. This is the City of Kentwood versus Charles Semmerly, case number 21-50299-OM. Mr. Semmerly, the City of Kentwood alleges that on or around May 12th of this year, in the City of Kentwood, County of Kent, you committed the offense of, it's a city ordinance violation. It is a misdemeanor, obstructing police by providing false info. Sir, that is a 90-day misdemeanor, carries with it fines and costs as well. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right, and did you have a chance to discuss your rights with Mr. Howard out there at the jail?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
All right, as to the offense of false information, how do you plead, sir?
Guilty, Your Honor.
All right, I recognize that there's some timeliness issue and that Mr. Semmerly needs to get to 63rd District Court, but there's a discrepancy between his appearance ticket and the information that I have, and so I don't want to attempt to establish a factual basis for something that is incorrect. So I'm gonna have to get my city clerk before I can finish with Mr. Semmerly. Give me just a moment.
Okay.
Would you like to move on to someone else, Your Honor?
Well, we can, and let me get a message to my criminal clerk,
Yes, ma'am.
and then I'll handle somebody else while I'm waiting for her. I'm sorry, Mr. Semmerly.
All right. Why don't you sit back over here?
What is your name, ma'am? Are you Grace?
Grace. I am, ma'am.
All right, this is the City of Kentwood versus Grace Greenfield. Ma'am, the City of Kentwood alleges that on or around March 8th of 2019 in the City of Kentwood, you committed the offense of trespassing. You were originally arraigned on this matter back on August 5th of 2019 by my predecessor, Judge Kelly. You failed to appear and we haven't seen you since, ma'am. Why not?
I just moved back to the area and got an apartment and job over here. And I turned myself in yesterday, wanting to get this resolved and done and over with.
All right, but you moved away while you had a case pending?
Yeah. Yes, I was still in Wayland, but it's a long story. I'm back in the area. I moved to Lake Michigan Drive and I'd like to get this resolved.
You turned yourself in?
Yes, yesterday. This is my second day here now.
All right, did you discuss your rights with Mr. Howard?
I did, ma'am.
Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
As to the offense of trespassing, how do you plead?
Guilty.
You understand if you tender a guilty plea and the court accepts your guilty plea, there will not be a trial of any kind.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it your voluntary choice then to forever waive your rights to a trial and all the trial rights that go along with it in order to enter this guilty plea and resolve this matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone threaten you or make you any promises in order to get you to plead guilty?
No, ma'am. It's my own. I'm pleading guilty on my own.
All right, ma'am. Trespassing carries with it up to 30 days in jail and a fine of up to $100.
Okay.
What were you doing in the city of Kentwood, County of Kent, on March 8th of 2019 that makes you guilty of this offense?
I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time, and his mom has a apartment it was at Keller Cove Apartments, and she wasn't a fan of us like being there because she had like 2 other kids, and he had a friend that was like a custodian there and let us sleep in the like laundry room, but the thing behind it, I think it's called like the boiler room or something, where like the heater is and stuff. And we were there for a week, and that's why.
All right, and at some point you were told to go and you came back.
No, I never went back on that property after. They just charged it with trespassing. Like, I never went back.
Did you have permission to be there?
From a custodian there, but the like office lady didn't know, like the runners of the actual like apartments, so they called it trespassing.
The people who could give you permission did not want you there?
Right.
And you stayed for a week sleeping in the boiler room?
No, they didn't know we were there. The custodian did, but he wasn't, I guess, allowed to let us in. So the office people like found out after a week, and then I got arrested. I never went back there. Like, I got arrested on the scene when we were found there.
But you didn't have the legal right to be living in the boiler room.
Yes, ma'am. That's a part of my life I never want to go back to. I am stable now. We'll be sleeping in
your life now.
Excuse me, sorry. It was like broken up.
Tell me about what's going on in your life now. Are you working?
Yes, I wrote down something to read to you. But yes, I have an apartment at 4373 Lake Michigan Drive, apartment 18. I work at Hutchinson. I've been there for 81 days, and I'm on like a 90-day probation there. And like if I make it to 90 days, I get a raise and all like the benefits. I am 14 weeks and 6 days pregnant, so it's my first child, and I am engaged right now. So,
okay, go ahead. Is there anything else that you want to share with me?
I'm really sorry for what I did, and I won't do it again.
Well, it sounds like you were experiencing an incredibly difficult time in your life. Then I'm pleased to hear the progress you've made. Do you have any other outstanding criminal matters?
I have one in, I'm going to see the judge today in Granville for something that happened at the same time as this, like the same, like 3 days before this. So I turned myself in to just get it all taken care of at once so I can move on with my life.
When did you turn yourself in?
When?
When?
Yesterday.
Mr. Howard, do you have any comments as they relate to sentencing?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I did have a very nice conversation with Miss Greenfield. She indicated to me that originally she may have served or had some time in on this before she was arraigned originally. And then she has suffered from some mental health issues. She does have bipolar, and some depression, anxiety issues. But she did indicate to me, as she has indicated to you, that she is finally getting her life back in order, has a good solid job, or hopes to become fully employed with Hutchinson, but it's a good job, a good start. She has an apartment. As she indicated, she's pregnant. She did turn herself in. It is a trespassing offense, Your Honor, and I know that the court appreciates it, probably doesn't need me to tell you this, but it strikes me that this was a woman in some distress, living in a quasi-homeless situation, and got permission, but didn't have the legal right to be on the premises. So under those circumstances, given that she's done a very good job, she is pregnant, she is moving in the right direction, I'd ask the court to consider giving her a time served sentence and closing this file without any further probation or fines and costs. She has several days in jail, 30 days trespass offense. In the circumstance, I think that's an appropriate punishment. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. All right, Ms. Greenfield, I take your sincerity into consideration, as well as the fact that you turned yourself in and all of the comments that Mr. Howard offered. I do find that in this case, it is appropriate to sentence you to 2 days in jail, credit for 2 days served, ma'am, and fines and costs. I'm imposing no other conditions. Fines and costs total $325 on the first business day after your release. You are to
Okay.
report to the 62B District Court and set up a payment plan so that you can get this
The
taken.
what?
The 62B District Court, we're
Okay.
at 4740 Walma in the city of Kentwood.
I'm gonna write it down. Hold on. What is the address? 40?
4740 Walma. I imagine that they'll give you some paperwork with that information on it as well
Okay.
when you leave the
Okay.
jail, but the courthouse in Kentwood set up a payment plan.
Okay. So I'm all set with you guys here.
You're all set with me, ma'am. That's a final decision of the court. If you disagree with the court's decision, you can appeal it to the circuit
No.
court.
I agree. Thank you so much.
Yes. Good luck, Ms. Greenfield.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Is Mr. Summerly still there?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
All right, I was able to clear this up. All right, Mr. Summerly, we're back on the record in the matter of Charles Summerly, case number 21-50299. The ticket in this matter is written kind of confusing, and as a result, it was entered in our system as 2 separate counts, not one. It was entered in as resisting and obstructing and a separate count of providing false information. That comes because sometimes the Kentwood City ordinances can be difficult to navigate, as we do link our ordinances to state law, and there are 2 separate state laws for offenses of this type. The bottom line, sir, is there's 1 count. It is for providing false information. It is, as I said, a misdemeanor. It is punishable by up to 90 days in jail, fines, and costs. Did you discuss your rights with Mr. Howard?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
All right. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, I do, ma'am, Your Honor.
All right, as to the offense of providing false information, how do you plead?
I plead guilty, Your Honor.
All right, before I can accept your guilty plea, I'll have to establish some facts and make sure that your plea is knowing and voluntary. If you tender a plea today and the court accepts it, there will not be a trial of any kind. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Is it your choice then to voluntarily waive your right to a trial and all of your trial rights in order to plead guilty and resolve this matter?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Did anyone threaten you or make you any promises to get you to plead guilty?
No, Your Honor.
All right, as to, well, you already pled then. Sir, what were you doing in the city of Kentwood on May 12th of this year that makes you guilty of this offense?
Well, the officer asked me for my ID and about my wallet I lost my wallet the day before with my phone in it, and so I gave him a false name.
You gave him a false name because you didn't have your wallet?
Well, the problem is, well, that's what it started out with, was the request is what I'm trying to explain, was what that started the whole thing. And then when I give him the false, well, I was afraid because a couple of days before, a guy wanted some money out of me, demanded some money, and because I wouldn't give it to him, he attacked me and I hit him with my cane so hard, man, it scared the hell out of me. I don't know if I killed the poor guy or not, but he laid on the sidewalk and his head was bleeding, and I was scared to death because I didn't know what you know, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if they had a warrant out on me.
You thought you were in trouble and you wanted to
Well, I thought
avoid
there
it.
was a warrant. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know if the guy had been really hurt. Yeah. Because I hit him so hard. I only hit him one time, but he was attacking me. I can't defend myself.
Well, I don't know anything about that, sir, including whether or not any charges were written in regards to that incident. The bottom line is you knew it was a police officer and you
Yes.
provided him false information.
That's correct, Your
Right.
Honor.
That is a actual basis for me to accept your guilty plea. Mr. Howard, I'll hear your comments as they relate to sentencing.
Thank you, Your Honor. If it pleases the court, I did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Summerly. He did indicate that he wished to plead.
Could you speak up a little bit, Mr. Howard?
Are we doing that again? Your Honor? Okay. Can you hear me now? I feel like I'm doing that phone.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Feel like I'm doing that phone commercial. Okay.
Right.
Did speak with Mr. Summerly. He's lived in Kent County all of his life. He's lived at his residence over on that I provided the court. I believe it's over on Eastern Avenue. For the last 6 years, he has a GED education, but I guess most important is he has 2 herniated discs and he has a pinched nerve. He is on Social Security disability. He's unable to work. When I spoke to him, he indicated to me, if my memory serves me correctly, that he hadn't been in any trouble for a while. Your Honor, I would request the court to give him a sentence that does not include any further jail. It seems like Mr. Summerly is doing reasonably well at this point in time, and this is not a violent misdemeanor. So those would be my recommendations, Your Honor. Thank you.
Sir, I did hear that I think you use a cane. Are you physically disabled then?
Yes, ma'am. I cannot use my left leg because both my knees are destroyed to a car accident. So I can't walk without a cane. I have to lean all my weight on my right side. I can't use my left leg. My cane is a 3-pronged cane, which got 3 legs out, so you got your stable. And neck, I shift my weight. Yeah. So that's why I was scared. I hurt that guy, but I didn't really have a choice. The guy was attacking me. He was a nut.
Hey, sir,
Okay.
I think we've heard that issue. So I
Okay, I'm sorry.
would ask you to stop discussing that matter. Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Stage counsel, Mr. Howard. All right, Mr. Summerly. The law presumes in a non-serious misdemeanor offense, that an appropriate sentence can be fashioned out of fines, cost, and community service. I'm certain we can find something to do for community service that is not so physically demanding that you couldn't be able to do it. And so I am going to sentence you to 24 hours of community service to be completed within 6 months. Once you get the referral from our probation department, you'll have 2 business days to register for your community service. Fines and costs in this matter are assessed at $325. We do have your address is 3140 Eastern. Do you have a good phone number?
Well, I did, but the phone, I didn't get a chance to memorize because I had just got the phone. I didn't get a chance to memorize it and lost it. The whole wallet the phone was in the wallet.
All right, I want you to report to the 62B District Court on the next business day after your release in order to set up your probation. Do you understand? I'm not your probation,
Yes.
your community service.
Yes, Your Honor. I have a question.
All right.
On the community service, now I already volunteered for the kids' food basket, so can I put that into them?
Well, you can talk with our probation department about that. Whether or not it qualifies for them is a decision for you to discuss at that time with someone in our probation department. I have no objection to it, but I don't know if they're able to adequately monitor you and if that's sufficient for their purposes, okay?
Okay.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you, sir. You're all set.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, well, you're gonna go right out here into the next room.
Thank you. You too. I'm gonna need it too.
Take care. Yeah, that's true. You don't have to come in.
Are you Keith Brown?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm Judge Sterkenburg. You're before the court for arraignment. The city of Kentwood alleges that on or around May 12th of this year in the city of Kentwood, County of Kent, you committed the offense of being a disorderly person, a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail, fines, and cost. Do you understand the charge and the maximum?
This disorderly person, I thought this was about urinating in public.
Well, I think that it stems from that conduct that they considered disorderly.
Oh, okay.
You understand the charge?
Yes, I'm guilty of it, ma'am.
Fines are up to $500 in this offense, sir. You understand the maximum penalties, 90 days in jail,
Yes.
$500.
Yes, yes, I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty.
All right, I do have an advice of rights form here that indicates you discussed your rights with Mr. Howard. I hear you tendering a guilty plea, and if I accept that plea, sir, there will not be a trial of any kind. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are voluntarily waiving the rights you discussed with Mr. Howard and all of your trial rights in order to plead guilty and get this matter resolved.
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone threaten you or make you any promises to get you to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
All right, what were you doing in the city? Well, I know what you were doing. In the city of Kentwood, County of Kent, on May 12th of this year, were you engaged in conduct that is urinating in public?
Yes, ma'am, because I have a weak prostate because I got prostate cancer, so it's hard for me to hold my bladder anymore.
All right. Sir, I will accept the factual basis for your guilty plea, and I will find you guilty. Mr. Howard, I'll hear your comments as they relate to sentencing.
Well, thank you very much, Your Honor. I did speak to Mr. Brown. He did relate to me as he related to me.
You know what? You're too faint once more. Do the other courts say that you are too faint?
No, everybody hears me fine, but you, Judge. I don't know what the issue is. I'll speak as loud as I can, and perhaps I'll use a different computer for you next time.
Okay.
All right, I did speak with Mr. Brown. He did relate his situation. He does have or did have prostate cancer, which limits his ability to hold his water, as they used to say. And so he did what he had to do. Frankly, I understand. Your Honor, under those circumstances, I just think, I don't know how long Mr. Brown's been in jail, but I would ask the court to consider a sentence of fines and costs. And I really don't think this elderly gentleman needs anything more than that. And I would ask for credit for any time that he served since he was arrested, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, do you have any other criminal matters that are pending?
No, ma'am.
Do you have anything else to share with me before the court imposes sentence?
No, ma'am.
I am looking at your criminal record, sir. There are a number of offenses here, both at the district court and circuit court level. Including a felony retail fraud back in 2019, a misdemeanor retail fraud back in 2020. Are you working, sir?
No, I get disability.
The 1706 Division Avenue, is that your address?
Well, it was.
Well, what do you mean it was?
Well, it was just a transitional housing program, and I'm no longer there anymore.
Oh, well, where do you live?
Well, I don't live nowhere now. It's going to be up to my parole officer to find me another placement.
Oh, you are on parole?
Yes, ma'am.
I wondered why you were in transitional housing. All right, sir, this is the sentence of this court. That you are to pay fines and costs. They total $325. You're to report to the 62B District Court at 4740 Walma on the first business day after your release. Make a payment plan or payment in full.
Correct.
That's all, sir. That's a final decision of the court. If you disagree with the court's decision, you may appeal it to the circuit.
All right, Your Honor.
21 days to do so. Yes, thank you, Deputy. We're all set.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I would move to withdraw.
You may withdraw from these 4 prior matters of limited scope representation. Mr. Howard, thank you as always.
Thank you, Your Honor. It was nice to see you again today. I hope you're doing well.
I think I'm doing well.
You certainly seem to be doing well as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I appreciate the efficient way that you conduct your court. Very nice. I always enjoy being in this court.
Oh, thank you so much. It warms my heart to hear that. And I appreciate the feedback, good and bad, because, you know, I haven't been here that long.
I really mean it. I think you're doing a great job. You're very efficient. You're very appropriate. You know, you're very sensitive to the needs of the people that appear in front of you. I think you're doing a great job. So,
Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Word from one old lawyer. Okay.
All right. Well, I always appreciate when you're here to assist. I will see you next time.
Yep. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
valid, but I have to talk to the Secretary of State because all that was taken care of.
Well, I recognize how difficult it can be to get an appointment with the Secretary of State these days. Do you have verification that you paid off your suspension in the 61st District Court?
Yes, I've heard.
You may give it to my clerk.
Shows the judgment. He did pay us.
Yeah, this is a clearance. It's not out of the 61st District
Yeah,
Court.
I have one.
Uh-huh. Well,
That's just a judgment, a sentence. That's not a clearance.
that's a clearance.
Yeah,
It wasn't a clearance. You guys were cleared. I thought I had one when I paid the fine to actually clearance, but they told me I didn't have one, so the only clearance was the one.
All right, you'll go ahead back to the lectern. Mr. Maxwell, we had a number of FTAs, so he was in absconder status, right?
This is a domestic violence case. So I'll leave that station twice. Need criminal convictions.
You on probation with any other court right now?
No,
Your probation is a tool. It is a set of resources designed to help you. That is the way we run it in this court. We want to give you the tools that you need so that you stop rotating in and out of court systems and in and out of probation, and that you get whatever underlying circumstances in your life are causing or related to this conduct under control. You wasted this opportunity. You wasted it. You had the opportunity to keep this off your record. You had the opportunity to get services, counseling, support, accountability from Mr. Maxwell, and you wasted it. I am revoking your probation. This will be an unsatisfactory discharge. I hope that you continue in counseling, sir, but you will not be mandated by this court any longer, and I am not imposing any additional jail time.
I am, because even with Mr. Myers, with first counseling sessions I had with him, we had discussed it afterwards, that he said that we could meet one-on-one with some other stuff. So I do agree with the courts that they only can help. So I am going to continue with that, even though it's not a requirement anymore.
All right, as I said, your probation is revoked. Your deferral under the 769 4A statute goes away, sir. So you lost your protected status, but you are not going to do any additional jail time. You're all set.
Okay, and also, yeah, I am with the fee because I paid, I'm still paying the money for that. I think I was on a little money, it was like a 500 days, so I'm paying, I am going to pay in my session. And
Well, you told me he was paid in full.
no,
It's paid for on the case.
excuse me, the counseling, you pay every time.
Oh, the counseling you're paid,
that's
yeah.
it. You pay that every time that you appear and have a meeting with them, you pay that.
Well, take advantage of it. I wish you all the best. I absolutely agree that counseling can't hurt. It can only help you. Sometimes just having that listening ear is all a person needs.
Mhm, I agree.
All right, you may go.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Marshall. Thanks.
What matter are you here on?
Probation violation, anything for parking cops. I think he's speaking with Kurt.
Oh, so somebody with you? And he's speaking with the attorney? Do you know who this is in the back?
That's a Brandon Thornton for PV. And I got on the hallway and Elizabeth Greg get some.
Gregitis.
Yeah, that lady's out there too.
All right, thank you.
Judge Brendan Thorne has 2 cases.
One's a 17 case, one's a 20 case. The court is calling the matters of Brandon Scott Thornton. What's the lectern, sir? There are 2 cases before the court. The first is case number 17-30047SD. The second is 20-30220ST. In both of these cases, you were placed on probation by my predecessor, Judge Kelly. And it is alleged in both cases that you have violated the terms of that probation. Did you receive copies of these petitions, sir? All right. Conviction upon these allegations can result in a revocation of your probation and sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law. For these offenses, one of these is an OWI, 93 days in jail. Second was an improper plate, which is a 90-day misdemeanor. You have a number of rights. You have the right to the assistance of an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, the court might appoint one for you. You have the right to a contested hearing in this matter. At that hearing, you'll be allowed to present evidence and testimony. The probation officer need only have a better case than you that you violated your probation in any of these ways that are listed. Are you asking the court to appoint an attorney for you for a contested hearing?
No.
On neither case? All right, we will start with case number 17-30047SD as to the allegation that you violated your probation by pleading guilty and being convicted of allowing an unlicensed person to drive in the 60th District Court. How do you plead? And as to the allegation that you failed to report as directed on December 2nd of 2020 and April 22nd of 2021. And as to the allegation that you failed to complete an alcohol highway safety class and verify. And as to failing to clear at least one suspension from your license per month and verify. So the allegations in the other case, 20-30220ST, three of them are the same, that you pled guilty to the allowing an unlicensed person to drive, that you failed to report on the same dates you already pled guilty to, and that you failed to clear at least one suspension per month and verify. As to the allegation that you failed to pay fines, costs, and oversight fees in this matter, which currently total $474, how do you plead? And as to the allegation that you failed to obtain a valid Michigan's driver's license by February 20th of this year. All right, I'm going to ask Ms. Kapersky to give me a history of this case so I know where we're coming from, and then I will hear your comments.
Thank you, Judge. So for the 17-3047 SPJ, this is the second probation violation hearing. At his first hearing on November 19th of 2020, it was for failing to report, failing to pay, failing to complete the alcohol having safety class, failing to abstain from the use of marijuana, disorderly license for marijuana use, and failing to clear suspension. He was ultimately suspended until November of this year and to perform 24 hours of community service work. Then for violation, he did complete the 24 hours of community service work, but committed a new offense of driving while license suspended, which was pled down to allowing. He failed to report on 2 occasions, has yet to complete the alcohol drinking safety class, which has been referred twice, a class in February and April of this year. He has known about this class and was advised to start saving money since January of 2020. I have been extremely lenient with Brandon, but he still does not follow through with the minimum requirements I asked. The fine was paid in full on the 17th case. He had 2 bonds that were applied, and then his income tax bond, but he made no willful payments. My recommendation is to revoke. He's committed a new offense and has 9 technical violations and serve jail.
Do you have any other comments on the 2020 case, Ms. Kapersky?
Just that no payments have been made for reinstated his driver's license. He still has the same suspensions.
And no valid license.
That's correct.
What have you been doing with your time, Mr. Thornton?
Basically just working 2 days a week, trying to survive. I mean, I can't make it any more simply. You know, it kind of all started with the OWI. You know, that wasn't because of me smoking pot, that was because of my drug history. You know, I'm not saying that has a lot to do with it, but you know, I struggle with that every day. I mean, I just got my paycheck today and I made $150. Yeah, I mean, I that's the struggle that I had to work with. I had to make $150 work to get my kid to and from school every day, put food on the table and pay the bills. It's just not enough. I just don't. I don't know what to say.
Where do you work?
I work at New Holland Balloon Company. I mean, you know, I've been there since November of last year, and then we got shut down. We reopened, and I think it was like middle of February. And then it was just 2 days a week, and then, you know, I don't know why, but they offer. Sometimes people call in, so they offered me a shift today, and they offered me a shift for Friday. So, I mean, to be honest, I'm trying to look for another job because that's the only way I'm going to be able to pay anything off. I mean, I only have enough money to live right now. I don't have enough money for that. I mean, I don't eat during the week. I make my kid, you know, my kid comes first, and then I eat when I get to work on the weekends.
How old is your child that you're referencing?
He's 14. So
does he live with you full time?
What?
Does he live with you full time?
Yeah, I had full custody since he was 3 months old. And you know, I'm not saying to pat myself on the back, but I raised him. You know, when he was born, I had a go bag of drug addiction when I was 25 years old. His mom was in, you know, the same shape that I was. I turned myself around, you know, and when he turned about 10 years old, you know, I relapsed. You know, I'm not gonna lie, it happens, and it happened a couple of years later. You know, and I mean, you know, I'm not perfect, you know, but so I smoke a little pot to, you know, it helps me maintain. It helps me to, you know, I know it sounds weird, but it helps me maintain to keep my other addictions at bay, I guess. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. I mean, I struggle every day. Sometimes I wake up and don't even want to wake up. What's the point to wake up to what? To work 2 days a week to barely pay my bills? I mean,
Who is your support system?
Nobody.
Who is with you today?
This is my girlfriend, but she helps out a lot, but she lives in Sweden, and, you know, I may or may not have issues with asking for help. I mean, I'm not very good at it. I mean, you know, I don't go to meetings when I get stressed out like everybody else does. I don't, you know, I know it sounds weird again, but it doesn't work for me to sit around a bunch of people and reminisce and talk about it. You know,
Are you talking about drug treatment programs like a 12-step? Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, I've been through that before. I've been through the AA, I've been through the NA. You know, and I kind of sit at home and get a little bit depressed and then, you know, get up and go. Not much else that I can do. And, you know, I know I violated my probation. I have to do jail. I mean, I guess I'm okay. I'm not okay with it, but if it comes down to it, I can just at least be out for the weekend, so I can at least still work on the weekends.
Your OWI? You had your 10-year-old child in the car with you?
It was a really eye-opener. Like, really, like everybody got involved, and it was really scary happening. Think about what I did. You know, and I try every day. Every day I'm sober. And that's about all I can do. I mean, I work 2 days a week. I spend the rest of the day sitting at home watching my bills pile up. Knowing it's all going to end eventually. But
have you been seeking other employment during this period?
There has been talks at work. You know, I've been really close to my boss about totally going to open. You know, and it's, you know, the bottom line is until the governor opens it up, I'm going to have to find a second job. So I've been putting applications out. I had an interview yesterday. I'm hopefully waiting to hear back from them today. I mean, that's my only other option is to get another job. I mean, as far as I know, and as far as my boss and corporate is concerned, they're telling me that when I can get open up at full capacity and have 40 hours until probably next year. And nobody's gonna wait this long for their money. They're just gonna keep going back around and then end up in and out of jail. And it's just not a road that I want to go down anymore.
Are you on probation with any other courts right now?
No, I have fines and fines, outline and fines and that's it. You know, I know it's stacking up all over again. It's just, you know, I have nobody to blame but myself. You know, none of this would have happened if I wasn't a drug addict. Doesn't matter if you're in recovery or not, eventually you're gonna fall. And I fell and I fall hard. Breaks my heart. Breaks my heart to see that all the hard work that I did for my kid. You know, I just hope that Show me learns from my mistakes. That's all. I mean, he's seen me go to jail for three months. It broke his heart. I came home and he hated me for that shit. He hated me. He still resents me for that. I know he does. He doesn't say it, but he looks at me. He resents me for that. You know, and I understand, you know. 9 years, just me and him, and then all of a sudden he gets ripped out of my arms for something stupid that I did.
Well, where is he now? He's living with you now,
Yes.
though, you said.
Yeah. You know, ever since that day, you know.
Does your son know what you're doing today? Does he know
Yeah.
you might not come home today?
Yeah.
Did you make arrangements for that?
Yeah. And you know, I told him, I said, here we go again. I says, it's mostly because I can't pay my fines. I says, it's mostly because I got, you know, I says, you know, nobody really needs to know this, but I'll just say it. Me and my son were homeless for a couple of years, living in our vehicle. I was working two jobs, so he understands, you know, I don't like it, but he understands how the real world works. You know, it's you know, I sat down with him before and I told him, I said, they're probably gonna end up throwing me in jail. I said, it's either that or I take you to school. I have to get you to and from school, and you know, he's in Silton because he's so far behind in education. So I have to get him there Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I will tell you 2 truths that I know, Mr. Thornton. Parenting is hard and addiction is real.
You know, I've lost six of my best friends to drug addiction, and they've got way more kids and way more family and way better of a person than I am, and they're not here. But I am. I'm here to struggle, and like all the people that I feel that I could talk to are dead. And I'm, you know, I know I'm not, but I feel alone.
Well, you know, I look at probation as a set of resources for you. All this time, you could have been talking to Miss Kapersky. You could have reported. She could have given you some counseling referrals. She could have given you some resources. But a couple of times, several times, you didn't even come in. I know that your circumstances seem dire at this time, and I hope you are able to turn them around. I really hope that, because working in food service is hard to make a living at, but I do know that since the restaurants have reopened at some capacity, they are in desperate need of capable workers. And so I feel like you could have probably gotten a second job during this period of time. And then you could have paid some of your fines and costs, and then potentially you could have gotten your license back. You could have worked with Ms. Kapersky at any given time on those. I'm glad to hear you say that you're sober. I'm concerned about the other things that are coming out of your mouth, which are that you need help, that you feel alone, that you're struggling with depression. COVID has been a difficult time for people in need to get those services. But when a court imposes sentence, the court has many different objectives that they have to meet. One of that is rehabilitation, and you could use those services, the resources available through the probation department to get the types of counseling that maybe could have helped you, but you didn't. One other piece of sentencing is punitive, and that is the punishment you get for breaking the law. And I am appalled to read an affidavit of probable cause, which you were later convicted upon, that you were operating a vehicle in the condition you were operating a vehicle with a 10-year-old in the car. You know that. In your mind, that's already over, right? You've passed that point and you are doing better. And I'm pleased to hear that. But you were given the opportunity to do so with probation and you did not do so. In case number 17-30047 ST, your probation is revoked. In case number 20-30220 ST, your probation is revoked. On that file, you will serve 30 days in jail. Starting today, sir, you will make payment in full, or you will stay an additional 10 days. That is it. That is the final sentence of the court.
So 30 days,
And the 10-day pay and stay.
and then 10 days, so 40 if I don't know.
Correct, sir. You owe $474. I wish you the best of luck, sir. Mr. Overholtzer, what matter do you have?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I have Mr. President Cox with me, Your Honor. If you have ready to proceed at this time.
The court is calling the case of the city of Kentwood versus Frederick Paul Cox, case number 19-50645OM. Mr. Cox appears before the court with his attorney, Mr. Kurt Overholtzer. This matter is scheduled for a contested probation violation hearing this afternoon. Mr. Overholtzer, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, I did have a chance to go over these alleged violations with Mr. Cox. At this time, I do believe Mr. Cox wishes to offer a guilty plea, at least to the first, with regard to the failure to report by phone on the previous application, Your Honor. Before we proceed, I would just like to make the court aware of the fact that Mr. Cox, when he came into the court today, he did, looks like, make a full payment for his fines and costs. I am looking at a receipt right now, which should indicate that his balance is zero with regard to allegation number 2 of failure to pay the balance of $672, Your Honor. But with regard to the first violation, Your Honor, again, I do believe my client wishes to offer a guilty plea with regard to that, Your Honor. And just in addition, Mr. Cox and I discussed the fact that if he is to offer a guilty plea with regard to that violation, Your Honor, he would be forever giving up and waiving his rights to have a contested hearing regarding that violation, Your Honor. And again, I do believe Mr. Cox with this entry guilty plea. That being said.
All right, thank you, Mr. Overholtzer. Are you able to verify that his fines and costs are paid in full? Melissa, maybe you already know that. Yes, paid in full, Your Honor. All right. And so when I arraigned you on fees, you pled guilty to allegation number 3, failing complete counseling. And well, I'm glad to hear that. But you pled guilty at that time to allegation number 3. Not guilty on allegations 1 and 2. We will strike allegation number 2 that you failed to pay your fines, costs, and oversight fees. As to the allegation that you failed to report by phone as directed on August 4th, December 1st, 2020, and January 5th of 2021, how do you plead? Ms. Franks, can you give me an update on this matter?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. So he did complete the counseling and received verification of that yesterday, and he has paid in full. At this point, I would just recommend a less than satisfactory response.
Allegation number 4 was struck because if my memory serves, Mr. Cox, you appeared before me for your video arraignment from work. And it looks like you're wearing a name tag. Is it a different employer though from when you were arraigned? No, where do you work? Okay. In my mind, your employment shirt was red last time. All right, Mr. Overholtzer, I will hear your allocution before I proceed to sentence.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. As the court's aware, Mr. Cox has paid his fines and costs in full at this point. He did get the anger management course completed, which I do believe Mr. Cox found to be beneficial, Your Honor. He is currently employed with Sentinel Point Retirement Community. He has been working there since November 2020 as part of the maintenance department, Your Honor. And he is able to work approximately 40 hours per week, so he's staying busy with that employment, Your Honor. He had his community service completed in the image where he did custodial work and worked with some of the goods that were there as well. So we got that completed. I believe Mr. Cox has been in full compliance with the no contact order, which was ordered by this court. I don't believe he has any other pending charges at this time. He's not on probation in any other court, Your Honor. And with regard to these missed appointment dates, Your Honor, Mr. Cox realizes that he did not call Ms. Franks in time for those appointments, Your Honor. It is my understanding in speaking to Mr. Cox that he did make some efforts after missing those appointments to reach out to Ms. Franks and let her know, hey, I missed these appointments. And, you know, I think he tried in good faith to stay on top of them. I understand that he did get his job with the retirement community. Some of his appointments, times were right when he was working, and that sort of led to some of the delayed phone calls and that sort of thing, Your Honor. So it seems to me that Mr. Cox has substantially complied with all of these conditions of probation and has gotten quite a few things completed here, not all of them at this point. So at this point, Your Honor, I would respectfully ask the court to go along with Ms. Frank's recommendation and consider a unsatisfactory discharge of probation for Mr. Cox's. Aside from these missed appointments, it seems like he has had some success here with this probation, Your Honor. So we would just ask the court to take that into consideration, determining an appropriate sentence for Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Overholzer. What do you do with the retirement community? What is the population there? How many people do you know?
I couldn't really tell you. When I started, it was a bunch of residents that were starting to move out due to the restrictions of the building because of COVID. And now it's starting to be pick up, and a bunch of people starting to move in. So I couldn't really tell you exactly. I can tell you it's 3 floors. I think it goes from like 1 to 62 on each floor.
It's a pretty big place.
Yeah.
They keep you pretty busy.
It's what they call work orders. It's a residence apartment that has an HU. I go in and take care of it. And then when I'm not doing work orders, I'm pretty much getting apartment ready for someone to be able to move. And once I get out of work, I tearing out a carpet, all that stuff. I have a certificate in residence person from ERC and
Really?
so I pretty much not do a lot.
Do you have any other criminal history?
That's part of the reason why it took me so long to find employment, because I was on probation for quite some time before I found a job.
All right, I see.
I have assault and battery, which I feel like kind of hinders me. I have carrying concealed weapons as well, which I know for a fact. So, I mean, I go through the struggle of trying to find a job. I don't ever, even after I get a job, I get a bunch of offers after. It always seems like as soon as I accept the job, I get about 4 or 5 offers. So I never give up.
Well, you are employed now. How long have you been there?
Since November.
For a good 6 months, which is something to be proud of. I do agree with Mr. Overholzer that you substantially complied, even if it was at the 11th hour, paying your fines and costs. Sir, I will dismiss you from probation. It will be a less than satisfactory discharge. There will be no additional jail time or sanctions. You're welcome. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have anyone else?
Your Honor, I did have at least one other, which I was pointed to. However, I don't believe I'm seeing them right now. I know there's one other individual in the lobby right now. I believe she's here for a probation violation. Would Your Honor like me to instruct them to come into the courtroom?
Yes, that must be Ms. Grigaitis.
Perfect. I'll be right back.
Thank you. the court is calling the case of the state of Michigan versus Elizabeth Michelle Gregaitis, case number 20-30079 SM. You can come on up to the lectern, ma'am. You're here for arraignment this afternoon on a probation violation hearing. You were previously convicted in this court of the offense of retail fraud, second degree. You were placed on probation by my predecessor, and it is alleged that you violated your probation by failing to report on a number of dates. Before we go any further, I'm going to disclose to you that there was a co-defendant on this case, correct? Ms. Brianna Van Dyke. And I was elected in November of last year. I represented Ms. Van Dyke on her part of these allegations. I don't know if that creates any concerns for you. I don't think it is a conflict of interest, but if you believe that I somehow cannot be impartial in adjudicating your alleged probation violations, please speak up now.
Yeah.
Are you okay to proceed with me? All right, ma'am. You received a copy of the petition?
Yeah.
All right, these are technical violations of your probation. 4 or more technical violations, ma'am, can result in a revocation of your probation and sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law, which in this case is 1 year for the offense of retail fraud, second degree. You have a number of rights. You have the right to the assistance of an attorney. You have the right to a contested hearing on these allegations. At that contested hearing, the probation officer need only have a better case than you that you violated your probation in the way that is alleged. Are you asking the court to appoint an attorney to represent you on a contested hearing on this allegation? At a hearing, you could give your own testimony as to support that you did appear or report as directed. The probation officer would then rebut that. And again, they only have to have a better case than you. Would you like to have a hearing where we give testimony on whether or not you reported as directed?
No.
All right. Are you asking the court to appoint an attorney for you?
I guess I'm kind of confused.
It's okay. I just want to make sure that you have the assistance that you need.
Okay.
All right. But if you were going to have a contested hearing, I would definitely suggest that you get an attorney. You've indicated to this court you don't want to have a contested hearing. Is that correct?
Right.
All right. Then as to the allegation that you failed to report as directed on April 24th, June 20th, and July 31st of 2020, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
I don't know, I guess I'm really confused on what to.
All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to appoint Mr. Oberholzer to represent you. He appears to be available at this time. And so I'm going to have you go ahead and have a conversation with him. All right? No, that's fine. If you just step out in the hallway, we'll recess in this matter for now. All right, the court will go back on the record in the matter of Elizabeth Michelle Grigaitis, case number 20-30079 SM. We called this case and Ms. Grigaitis appeared before the court. I appointed the Kent County Office of the Defender to represent her, as we have a representative here at nearly all times. And so now she appears with her attorney, Mr. Kurt Overholzer. Was that a productive conversation that you had with Mr. Overholzer, ma'am?
Yeah.
All right. And were you able to discuss with Mr. Overholzer your rights, including your right to a contested hearing in this matter?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, as the allegation that you failed to report as directed on April 24th, June 1st, and July 31st of 2020, how do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, I am going to have Mr. Maxwell update me on this case, and then I will hear your attorney's comments before I decide what to do. All right, Mr. Maxwell?
Your Honor, she was originally placed on probation day, March 2020. At that time, she was also on probation in the 63rd District Court. However, shortly after being placed on probation here, she picked up retail law enforcement in Walker. After that, she stopped reporting. It sounds like she's slowly reporting to 63rd. But not with us. She did result from warrant in 63rd, I believe that case is still pending in the 59th District Court. At this point, I will leave sentence of discretion to the court. She is paid in full. She did most of the bond, and she is here today.
Those are all good things. Ma'am, why didn't you come?
To be totally honest, Your Honor, when I got these charges, I was completely, totally different person. You know, I was going through a lot. I was losing my kids. I was going through a lot mentally. And today, you know, I'm here today, and I've been sober for 10 months. I started my own cleaning business. I'm in the process of getting my son back. My caseworker is actually with me. We started a permanent placing hearing with the ground stage just on April 22nd. Yeah.
This is a caseworker from like Bethany Christian Services or something?
My son's in foster care. She's my foster care caseworker.
Okay, all right.
You know, I've also, you know, I'm ongoing services throughout the circle. I have all of this information we can read over that just states, you know, everything that I've been doing. There's no.
I'll let Mr. Overholzer summarize it for me.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Just to kind of pair up with what Mr. Grigaitis was talking about, Your Honor, I think one important thing to highlight that I don't think she did mention is that when this case was, when she was originally charged with this case, Your Honor, I do believe she was struggling with methamphetamine, Your Honor, and she did mention that she was sober for 10 months at this point. So I'm very proud of that fact, and I think she should be proud of that fact as well, Your Honor. I know it's been a very hard road and certainly a very hard last year for Mr. Grigaitis. You know, losing her kids, being homeless. It's been absolutely a brutal year for her, Your Honor. And I think she's taking it well, Your Honor. She has opened that business. So she's working right now. She's currently in a position where I do believe she's potentially going to be able to have her youngest son come home with her in the next 30 days. And you know, her case manager is with her today in the courtroom. And I think, you know, perhaps she would be able to attest you know, to the progress that my client has made over the period of time, Your Honor. But it does seem to me that she has come a very long way in a short period of time, and I'm hopeful that she'll continue this upward trajectory and continue to better herself. And ultimately, I think that will be better for her two boys that I know she cares very much for, and she's very much looking forward to hopefully getting her youngest back here in the near future. She is currently still on probation, Your Honor, out of the 63rd District Court, but my understanding is that she just needs to finish paying up some fines there, but otherwise she's done essentially with that case, and once she does pay those fines off in full, she will be completed with that case out of 63rd District Court. And with regard to the current retail fraud that is pending out of the Circuit Court, she's taking care of that, and she's doing what she needs to do for that case, Your Honor. So At this time, Your Honor, I would respectfully ask this court to consider a continuation of probation for Mr. Davis, as I do believe, again, that she has taken significant steps forward in her life in the last couple of months here, and I think she's going to continue again that good positive pathway, Your Honor. So we would just ask the court to take that into consideration, determining an appropriate sentence here. And again, we are asking the court to consider possibly a continuation of probation at this time. Thank you.
Tell me about where that felony retail fraud case is at. Do you know?
Is that Walker?
Well, no, what stage of the proceedings is it at?
Your Honor, I do believe it's recently been bound over to circuit court, and I believe they're awaiting a settlement conference date if there's not one already. It sounds to me like there's a possible resolution on that case at this time as well, Your Honor.
Are you reporting to court services for that as well as 63rd District Court?
Called and I'm going to get all that, so. And I just called yesterday, I'm just supposed to be done court services Tuesday. The lady at Walker told me, from that they called me, but I called yesterday.
All right. Well, if all you say is true and you do appear to have a support person with you, I am pleased that you are making progress turning your life around from what must have been an abysmal situation till now. Nonetheless, you have to sort out the details and the trail ends of all of the mischief that surrounded you when you were in the midst of those circumstances. I am extending your probation for an additional 6 months. I am adding community service, 24 hours. Get it completed in the next 6 months or you'll do 5 days in jail for failing to complete it. Report, as you are supposed to be doing, to Mr. Maxwell, and I'm going to have him screen you for determination as to whether or not we need to get you into any kind of additional counseling or shoplifters alternative program. He can better inquire as to what other services you are doing at this time. All right, that's it, Mr. Maxwell. Do you want to meet with her now?
Call me tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, ma'am, before you go, is your address still 6670 Pleasant View in Rockford?
Yes, it is.
All right, is your phone number 240-1261?
Yep.
All right. I wish you the best of luck. I mean this in the best possible way, ma'am. I hope to not see you here again.
I won't. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Are you Lanaya Mayberry?
Yes.
All right, the court is calling the case of the state of Michigan versus Lanaya Denise Mayberry. You can come up to the lectern, ma'am. This is case number 17-30058ST. Miss Mayberry was previously placed on probation in this court after conviction upon the offense of allowing an unlicensed person to drive. She was sentenced to probation. I arraigned you on a number of probation violations back on May 5th of this year. You pled not guilty and requested an attorney for a contested hearing, and here we are. You appear with your attorney, Mr. Overholtzer. How are we proceeding today?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I did have an opportunity to meet with Ms. Mayberry this afternoon to discuss these violations, Your Honor. At this time, I do believe Ms. Mary Berry wishes to offer a guilty plea with regard to these violations, Your Honor. In addition to that, Your Honor, Ms. Mary Berry and I also discussed her right to have a contested hearing regarding these violations. I believe Ms. Mary Berry does understand that if she is to plead guilty, she would be waiving that right to have that contested hearing. And with that knowledge, Your Honor, I do again believe Ms. Mary Berry wishes to offer a guilty plea at this time to these violations, Your Honor.
All right. Did you receive a copy of the petition, ma'am? With the 4 allegations on it?
No, I did not.
Is that what you're looking at right now, Mr. Overholzer?
It is, Your Honor.
Okay. So you've read those before and I arraigned you on all of those. In my notes, I struck allegation number 2. Is she paid, Mr. Maxwell?
She is paid in full and report can also be dismissed. Her address is correct in the license.
All right, so today we are only addressing allegations 1 and 3. All right, ma'am, as to the allegation that you violated your probation by failing to report as directed on December 20th of 2017, February 2nd, and March 8th of 2018, how do you plead? And as to the allegation that you violated your probation by failing to clear at least 1 suspension from your license per month and verify, how do you plead? All right, I'm going to have Mr. Maxwell give me an update on this case, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. Mr. Maxwell?
With this case, she has never reported. It's 3 appointments. At one point, she did have a general license, but was later resuspended, received a ticket. She currently owes $342 on the bank name. This is report with that piece. Other than that, struggling with mobilization.
Never reported. My predecessor was a pretty nice guy. It's Judge Kelly. He sentenced you to probation. Mr. Maxwell is a pretty nice guy. Where you been?
I was dealing with a lot of things. I did contact him in several cases. I did get my license back. And, I paid all the fines and I have my license back. I think I live in Westfield with them and I spoke to them as well. And I have my license back. I really thought I was sort of just taking one probation. Because that's what Judge Kelly told me I needed to do. He said that my fines to get my license back.
Well, I'm sure that's why he put you on probation, was so we could see you become a valid driver again. And Mr. Maxwell indicates you were for a minute, but then you were not. How did that come about?
It was actually driving on suspended because I paid all my reinstatement fees. I was reinstated, and for some reason the state suspended me again because I was driving on another suspended. It was like months previous. So I really was unaware that I was suspended. It wasn't by like February or out to my state, and they had a old address, so I don't notice. And when I got pulled over at the time, I was under the impression I had a license, but I didn't.
And so do you know what is holding up your license now?
Yes, right now, we're working on get my license back. I have cleared up quite a few suspicions. I think I got like 1 more to clear up and let's get out of Indiana. And I believe I have to do a fast track and I have my license back.
Mr. Maxwell, if she never reported, does that mean I have 24 months of probation I can give her?
I believe war was first issued in April 2018, which was regional and issued a couple times along that. So the time that she was actually on the clock of not having a warrant status that would benefit as well.
So 5 months from November to April 18. And then you were back September. To November. And you were on warrant status from September. No, what's this one? From November 6th of 2018 to May 5th of 2021. A year and a half. I calculated best she has 9 months on the clock. That's all. So she could have up to 15 more.
Plenty of time to take care of what's.
Plenty of time to take care of one suspension. Oh, I'm not going to find, I'm looking in this file for something I'm not going to find because it was in the one previous. You told me, ma'am, that Judge Kelly said you were on probation until you get your license, right?
Yes.
You don't have your license.
What was it?
And you don't have your license.
Oh,
You
I
did,
I
but
have
then
it.
you lost it again.
Yeah.
So, I stand with Judge Kelly in wanting you to be a legal driver. And since you were on warrant status for so long in this matter, the district court has within its discretion still the ability to give you additional time on probation. And so I will extend your probation for 6 more months, ma'am, for the purpose of seeing you clear up that suspension out of Grand Rapids, which Mr. Maxwell indicates to me it was 342 she owes on it.
Correct, I can give her a sheet.
He will assist you in that. You will continue reporting to him and you will clear up that suspension so that you can have your license reinstated within those next 6 months.
Do I just pay this and you guys go?
Well, you pay it, you'll get your suspension cleared. You'll need to take that clearance to the Secretary of State. You'll need to pay a reinstatement fee there to get your license back. Keep in contact with Mr. Maxwell on how that's going. All right, you're all set, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tomorrow.